Comes. All right. So welcome to The Secret to Getting Results, which is kind of a virtual book launch. Myself and Emmy Kirshner, who's
Hey.
So Get Results is the third book in the Results series. It's an anthology series. There's a fourth book actually coming out, I believe, very shortly, I think in the next couple of weeks. It hosts the expertise and point of view of 19 authors, of which Emmy and I are two of those co-authors, on topics of health and wellness, marketing, personal growth, work-life balance, energy, business, and overall change. I'm Randy Levin. I'm founder and CEO of Randy Levin Coaching. I'm a transitional life strategist, speaker, author, and subject matter expert on reinvention. Because we are not the same people when we hit our 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s that we were when we were 20. I mean, made these huge life decisions that we were going to do this, do that. We may have gotten married and maybe that worked, maybe it didn't work, but we change and we evolve, and we're supposed to change and evolve. And be thinking about what our legacy really is and how we can carve that out each and every day. And with that, my first secret to getting results is to give yourself permission to embrace and make those changes and to keep evolving, to keep going in life. This change isn't a one and done. It's a process and a journey. And I think that we mistakenly often think that change is something that is stagnant. You know, we've changed, we've done it. We did it. We worked on it. But just as soon as we get that, something else moves. And that's that whole balance thing that I know we've talked about before,
Right.
Trying to get that just right. And we never quite get it just right, because just when we do, something else changes. So there's fluidity that has to be part of how we look at change and evolution. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I so agree with you. And it's one of the things I love, I think more and more as I get older, is like September seems to be a big get back into your routine time. And it's a great time for change.
It is. It is.
Same thing with the beginning of the year. And then I added like my birthday and, I'll do something different at the holidays. So I do stuff quarterly and I plan that into my year.
I agree. And I think that's a really good way to look at it, and look even at as the seasons change. Sometimes that's a really good time for rejuvenation or something new. But before we get even into more of that, I want you to be able to introduce yourself. And you are.
Hey, everybody. I am Emmy Kirshner. I'm the owner of Emmy Kirshner Coaching. I'm a nutrition, mindset, and lifestyle coach. And I work with entrepreneurs and executives who are passionate and purpose-driven, and they really have a vision of something that is larger than themselves and in their business. And a lot of times that has led them to being stressed out, having health issues. So I help them realign their energy and what they're eating with their lifestyle so that they can continue to reach the next level of success.
Yeah.
With a lot of stress reduction. Yeah. So,
and what's your first secret of success, since we're talking all about getting results, right?
Yeah.
Result secret that you have.
So I guess my snippet is just do the work, which is, I don't know how it sounds, but the most successful people spend hours and hours and hours practicing, honing their skills, not doing it right, doing it over and over and over again. So when you see the big people out there, whether it's Tony Robbins or Oprah or, anybody who's speaking, for instance, they've done that talk 1,000 times before they got to where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, for instance, with the Olympics, most of those athletes have spent, well more than 4 years practicing, sometimes just seconds of glory.
Right.
And most of them would say that it's totally worth it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is regardless of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, just keep at it. Even if it's a little bit every day, even if it's that you stop and start, it's all about I call it consistent. So inconsistently consistent with a lot of things.
But the work is so important. I just wrote a blog post, and it's kind of about the pixie dust that my clients all think that they hire me with. So I hired the coach. So now I've done it. It's going to be good.
Right.
But you have to do the work. And if
Yeah,
you do the work, hiring me or any other coach isn't going to matter because it's not the hiring, it's the doing.
exactly.
Big difference between wishing for something and doing the work. Both start with W. When you're wishing for it, but you're doing the work involved to get to it, and there's a
Exactly.
difference in that. And so yeah. So,
Yeah.
as I said before, we were 2 of the 19 authors who co-wrote Get Results, Learn the Fast Track to Success in Business and in Life. And what I love about the book is that the entire series is it displays multiple points of view. So you may like my point of view, you may not. You may love Emmy's and not like mine. You may like ours and not like anybody else's. And that's what's
Right.
interesting. So when you read a book like this, you get lots of different points of view, lots of different aspects of a common theme and a common thread. It's written from the heart, from 19 hearts, actually. It shares tips, inspiration, and knowledge for changing and impacting business and life. And I call it a toolbox for change. Because when we think about a toolbox, we think about all those different types of tools that are in it. And some work to fix one thing or to do another. And if you're using a set of tools, you may use certain tools and never use the others. So the same type of thing. So in essence, you can apply the viewpoints of various authors that resonate most with you and use the inspiration that you most need. Our next secret to success, to getting results, I keep saying success, there's no one right way or wrong way to get results. So results are measured individually and they can evolve by trial and error, which means that there may be things that work and things that don't work, and multiple roads. If you think about getting in your car, and I'm a back road person. I will pick a back road over a highway any day, even though it could take me twice as long. I prefer it. I like back roads, okay? But the highway can get me there too. So there's 2 ways right there. Maybe there's 3 or 4 or 5 sometimes to get to a single destination.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at an anthology series or we look at our lives, there's all these different ways of approaching something from different perspectives, from different points of view, to get maybe results that work for you, and the results that work for you may not be something that works for somebody else. So, Emmy, what do you love most about the book?
I think similarly to you, I love the points of view, and there really is something on every page for somebody to take away. And even if the example is in that chapter is more personal related than business or vice versa, you can take any of those things and apply them to both. And it's,
Yes.
I think easy to do. And I love how action oriented each chapter is. There is something in each chapter that any person can take, at least one thing, and do something in their lives to really get clear about what they want and to go get it and to have that happen.
I agree. I really do.
And the diversity. I mean, there's something, there's sales, there's, manifesting what you want. There's, I talked about stress.
Marketing.
Yeah, there's everything.
I talk about reinvention and my own story in regard to reinvention. So yeah, everybody has a different angle. And that's kind of what the whole series, as I mentioned before, this is the 3rd book in the series, is about. Each chapter being from somebody else, about something done a little bit differently that got results in some aspect.
Yeah, I really wish I had a book like this when I was first starting out.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was going back through it the other day, and some of the things that I was kind of struck me. I'm like, if I had known that when I first started my business, it would have been so much easier.
That's true. But it's like anything else. Sometimes we're ready to hear what that is, and sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
We have to start someplace with it. So the more knowledge we have and the more perspectives and points of view that we have, the easier it is sometimes to make decisions in our lives, because it's very isolating, particularly as a small business owner. We tend to see this way because we're so involved in all the nuances of our businesses.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah.
I was going to say, I agree. And I think it's so easy not only to get into that tunnel vision, but you're working, so many hours, particularly in startup phase. And it's lonely. And unless you surround yourself with a support system, you can think that you're the only one suffering from whatever problem it is.
Exactly. So this kind of tells you that you're not, because everyone wrote this, as I said, from the heart. And, there's a lot of very personalized stories in there about different things that people went through, or how they've tweaked what they're already doing. And when you get those perspectives, the universe opens up a little bit. You see a little bit more of what goes on, and you don't feel quite as isolated in the things that you may be doing or thinking. You feel
Right.
well,
Right.
they all went through it. That must be normal then.
Yeah.
Whatever normal is.
Don't ask me what normal is.
So another secret to getting results is that success, whatever we call success, is measured in different ways as well. And our definition of success can be very different. And it's almost always a question I use in coaching people. What's your definition of success? Because I may think it's one thing, because it is one thing for me, but it could be something completely different for you. Maybe, Emmy, success is all about money. And for me, it hasn't to do with money at all, or vice versa.
Yeah. And you're so right. And I think that's where the first step that we miss, it's like we bypass that into let's get into strategy.
Right.
Instead of getting clear about what it is we want to show up in our lives and what it is we really want.
Right.
You know,
there's disappointment sometimes because we're not, we think we're looking for one thing and that's not what's showing up for us, but that's really what we most wanted. So we don't really know what to do with it. So defining the success is really kind of one of the most actionable things you can do personally and professionally for yourself. What does that mean for you? Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, which I worked that job for a very long time, what's your measurement of success in that? If you're in corporate America, what's your measurement within your company? What's your measurement of success as a mom, as a wife? And I think there's multiple ways to look at what that is. And, some of it may be based on longevity. Some of it may be based on personal satisfaction from certain things or certain milestones that we set. But it is individual and it's not one thing. So when people talk about it, it's good to be mindful of the fact that it isn't necessarily the same thing you're talking about when you say the word. Right. So, yeah.
I totally agree. And I use the example of with a lot of my clients with, what's your definition of healthy, but for like those people who want to lose weight, they're like, well, I just want to be skinny. What does that give you? What does that mean for you?
What is skinny? Skinny for one person could be a 0. Skinny for another is anything but a large,
Right. Well, and it's the feeling. What does that embody for you? So it's the same thing with success. It's what does it embody for you? What do you want to feel? And I think you kind of already said it, but the whole part of like looking forward, what do you want to bring in? And then also, what do you want to leave behind? What is that legacy?
That's my theme. It's my theme of the month, but it's my theme of my coaching practice. It's about
fantastic
to let in and what we develop as legacy, because we think of legacy as that thing that happens after we're gone. Our kids will deal with that. That's the legacy. Right. The legacy is what we create. And we have the ability to create and recreate that each and every day to what works for us. And that's choice. So, yeah. Definitely. Does anybody have, I think we've got Patty and I believe Becca's on there somewhere. I don't know if she can hear us. Any questions? Anything you'd like to add to the discussion at this point? You're typing? Okay.
Yeah, you're typing.
Becca, can you hear us? Because she's showing up. No, she can't.
Oh, that's okay.
We lost her audio. And
hey, Becca.
Let me do the unmute all again. Unmuted. Yeah, Becca, can you hear us?
She said yes.
Oh. Okay, that's fine. No problem. That's what works about this is that you don't have to. You can be audio, you can be full video, or watch on a replay, whatever works. So it's kind of the beauty of doing conversations like this. So whatever works for you. If anybody has any questions, Patty, is there anything you wanted to add?
Not right. Not
okay. Just let us know. So we looked at success a little bit and talked about how that varies. But on the opposite end of success, the flip side, if you would, is what we call failure, right? So
I'm really good at it.
What does that mean? What does it mean to fail, Emmy?
I think for me, it's when things don't, the outcome isn't what I am looking for. And for me too, like I really don't fail anymore, ever. I have learning experiences or learning opportunities, and anything that could be classified as negative that happens to me, I really sit with it in that space. Whereas, what am I supposed to get out of this in this moment? It could be anything from business to my kids to personal relationships. What the dogs are doing this week that's crazy. I mean, the whole spectrum.
Right.
And when I look at it that way, I think you get so much more out of it, because that's where the best learning times come from, is when you haven't done it the right way. You know, when you are succeeding, you can be like, check, did it, and you're not spending the time to review as much.
Agree with that completely. But I'm not so sure, at least in my own personal scope, if failure, I hate that word, but failure means that I did do it correctly. Maybe, what I thought was going to happen didn't happen, but that didn't mean that my original thought was correct.
Right.
So I kind of like to look at success and failure as a lab experiment. We go into the lab and we're not really sure what's going to happen when we run that experiment, right? It could work out and have all of these really positive, energetic, uplifting things happen from it, things we know about, things we don't know about, or it could completely fall apart. And then you realize, why am I even standing here? What does that mean? And I personally think that my own growth, and the growth I think of most of my clients, I think they would agree, comes when things aren't going by the book. We're talking about books today. When things aren't going according to a rule book or according to what we anticipated they would be. Because it causes us, like you said, to stop and to pause and to think and to listen and to reevaluate if maybe what we were originally thinking wasn't even the correct, like a hypothesis, right? Was it really the correct thing to be pursuing or pursuing that?
Right.
And sometimes things pop up that we wouldn't have had access to or wouldn't have known about in that open arena of failure. Because we've, okay, well, that didn't, what am I going to do now? But there's something else right there. It's kind of that let go to let in.
Yeah, and I think I have a great example too, where before I became a coach, so I guess it was 6 or 7 years ago now, I wanted to open a farm-to-table restaurant. I had catered for forever, and my intent was to have something that was kind of like the healthy dinner spot, but make it farm-to-table, casual. And before farm-to-table was really, at least in the Pennsylvania area, was really becoming popular. And I got like this close. I mean, I had, negotiating for lease. I had the spot. I had architect not building, but drawing up plans. I had the construction guy. I had the financing. I had 50 pages of a business plan. I spent a year and a half working on it, and it didn't happen because we couldn't come to an agreement with the lease. And after that, I looked at some other locations, and I just couldn't. There was no energy left. I was done. And, a lot of people could look at that like as a failure, but it was one of those events that I learned how to network. I learned how to write a business plan. I learned how to do all these things, and I wouldn't be here now in my next step running this business
with me.
if I hadn't gone through that.
It's true.
So I never looked at it as a failure. For me, it was, all right, this is not what I'm meant to do right now. So what's next? And I think once I made that decision, 2 days later, I enrolled in my nutrition school. So,
right. It's a growth moment. It's, and some people, unfortunately, when something doesn't go right, something of that magnitude where they've put heart and soul and effort and time and energy and everything into something and it doesn't happen, many people would shut down. they'd unravel with that and say, oh my God, well, what am I going to do now? And what's everyone thinking? And what are they saying about me? And, they would get into this whole mindset of other things. But you didn't. You said, okay, what's next? What else can I do? What else is interesting to me? And where can I take all these things I've now learned and take them forward in a different way,
And to go back to the kind of the clarity piece too, the one thing that I asked myself was, if this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, what is it that I really want to accomplish? Mm-hmm. And the very baseline is that I just want to make people feel good. Mm-hmm. Like that was it. Mm-hmm. And that's still it. I just do it in a different way now. And I think I get to have, on an individual level, a lot more impact. So that's really cool.
Right. So it's like we were saying before, that different road that you can take and get to a similar destination, different than what you were originally thinking, but a destination where you're still helping people, you're still in the health industry, you're still doing what you love doing and what you have a passion for, and using that every single day and building a business. So at the end of the day, you have all that. You just have a different route than what you thought you were going to take. And there's so much of that, as people, more and more people are opening businesses, more and more people are doing multiple types of home businesses, and it's easy not to have that be a success. It's probably easier for it not to be a success than it is for it to be a success, whatever success is, because there's so many variables. But when we can come to an end result of getting to where we want to get, even if the route was a little different, took us a little bit differently down the sideway, that's the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we're going to get into the book a little bit and read a little bit from our chapters. Chapter 6, Signs from the Road of Life, really is there to empower readers to create their own destiny, or to think about creating your own destiny by setting a personal GPS. So just like those GPSs we have in our cars, where we go out and we program in the destination we want to go to, the question I always ask is, if you went out to your car and programmed in, I don't know, where would you go? And in life, where would you go? And so we have that same GPS personally, and it's an acronym, standing for growth, purpose, pivot, pausing, and success steps. And it's essentially what I'm writing about in this chapter. And it also includes my own reinvention. And of course, I'm not reading the entire chapter, but I'm going to read an excerpt for you. And we cover up through the G. So here we go. Want to get results? No problem. You're in the driver's seat. Your destination is yours to decide. Turn off that cruise control, because in the driver's seat takes work, remember that work, and commitment. Turn the key and program your personal GPS. GPS is an acronym that defines my signature coaching system that I use with my private clients. I love to travel and explore new places, and I believe it's the adventure that makes the trip worthwhile. And it's okay to get lost. In fact, I recommend it. So that was what we were talking about before, with the ability to have things maybe not work out according to plan. If we never get lost, we never do the work to get back on course and to find our best route. This GPS system is your private toolkit to design and define your life on your terms. It turns your individual signs and road of life into your successes. Begin. Start your engine. What does destiny mean to you? Write it down. Can you envision yourself picking exactly that flower that you want from the field of life? Reinventing and refreshing your journey is introspective and emotional. It involves unpacking many of the things you carry around with you daily, but letting go for newer and lighter baggage. And here's how your personal GPS breaks down. So the G stands for growth, which is really, really significant piece of this. Personal growth should be measured and defined less by the long-term goals, because people think my G stands for goals. It doesn't. Less by those long-term goals we set, and more by the successes encountered along the way. If we focus only on goals, we forget about the small successes and steps on the path to those goals, and we become caught up in the end result rather than the journey, the process to get there. We focus on tomorrow, and we shortchange today. The ride itself is where growth breeds. It's where we do the work or experience the grit today to be successful. It's also the place where we find our courage, and having the guts to friend our fears by leaning into what scares us the most empowers us to alter those fears. There's no finish line, when we focus on growth. Why? We're forever a work in progress. There should always be a journey. We should never be done. That's my little excerpt from chapter 6. Thank you. Signs from the Road of Life. And I wanted to share yet another little secret to get results. And it's one that I share with every private client and almost every speaking engagement at this point. And it's this: listen to your life. Very simple. What's your life saying to you? So if something is going well, you need to stop and say, okay, why is it going well? What am I hearing? What's going on? And if it doesn't go well, or it's not going according to plan, as Emmy was saying, what can I get from this? What am I meant to be doing? What's next? This is always a next.
Yes. There always is. I love that.
Yay.
It's funny because I think that little snippet I chose from my chapter is going to complement yours perfectly.
Oh, how nice is that? We didn't even plan that.
I know. Exciting.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else about your chapter? Or?
No, it's just more of the same. I define the other elements of it, speak a little bit about my own journey to get to coaching, and why I'm a transitional coach and a reinvention coach and what that means to me. So that's getting to all of that fun stuff. I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, awesome. So my chapter is about stress and how it affects our health and productivity. Stress is the cause of 80% of all disease, and it affects essentially all of us, and it is in every part of our lives. So our personal relationships, our work, our kids, our colleagues, when we move, when we have kids, when we get married, when we get divorced, like it's everywhere. There's everything.
It's everywhere.
And, I think it's something like 20% of us are experiencing extreme stress. That's like a 9 or a 10 on a scale of 9 to 10 on a regular basis. And it's scary that it's affecting us. We're experiencing that level, to the point where the World Health Organization refers to it as an epidemic. And what ends up happening is it causes a lot of inflammation in our body, which causes all sorts of health issues, and I could go on for hours about that. But it also essentially causes brain freeze, to put it simply, so that we're not focused, we're not functioning at the level that we could be. So it actually takes us longer to get tasks done before you even add in the whole we're multitasking factor. So my chapter takes you through, what to do to bless you.
Oh gosh, I didn't know you could hear me.
And
Thanks.
And so it really, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. But it takes you through, what to do, what you should be eating to help reduce the inflammation, your mindset. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about, or read a little passage from that. And then, because I think it's one of the most powerful things. And then, what to do from a lifestyle perspective too, having routines and other tidbits of information. So again, a lot of things for, somebody to take at least one thing from to reduce stress and really feel better.
Right.
And kind of get your Zen master on a little bit.
I have a question before you read.
Yeah.
And I think that it's worthy of discussing. Why? Why do we have this much stress now?
I'm going to tell you why.
Tell me why.
Because it's really about your mindset and making the difference. So I think you had said that you loved this quote that I'm going to read. And it's Charles Swindoll, I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name, but it says, 10% of life is what happens to me, and 90% is how I react to it. And that is so true about everything, right? So for me, life happens, and there are certain things that we can't control. But what we can control is how we react to it. And allowing stressful or negative situations to ruin our day is a choice. It's not a necessity. It's not a truth. That's a story that we create.
Yes.
It's not a fact of life. It's a choice. And it's training your brain to really let go of stress and that reaction time. So in the chapter here, I talk about I had gotten a flat tire, which car things like end my world. It's one of the things that send me into a panic. right? And because I've been really working on, living everything that I preach, I've been living on, with training my brain to not have panic attacks when, you get a flat tire. And it was actually kind of funny in the end. But because I was able to do that, and there's air gushing out of the tire and gigantic hole and everything else, I was able to get the help I needed really quickly instead of having, the whole adrenaline rush and everything else. And I realized that's a simple example, and life has far more complex things.
Yes, but what the key to what I'm hearing you say is really relevant. It's hard to do, and that's to keep your head. It's to keep your wits about you, to think, what can I do? What do I need to do in this situation to get out of this situation? Right. Instead of shutting down or freaking out or doing something else or passing to somebody else or whatever that is. What can I do now that needs to get done, and how do you address it? And then you were able to address it expediently because you could.
Right. And why do I want to spend all this negative energy, and expel all this negativity, whether it's that or, somebody said something to me that I don't like, or, I burned something on the stove, or a huge word.
All on the same day.
Whatever. Whatever it is, it's exhausting to put out that negative energy, and it's far more fulfilling to just not let it bother you and to roll from one thing to the next. So again, the fluidity is really important. Yeah. So that's my little blurb. So I think that's one thing that we can take away with everything that we're doing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Going to read to us now?
I did read to you.
Oh, just the quote. Oh, did you actually read it?
What's that?
It sounded like you, did you memorize that? Because it's like it was so, so succinct. Okay.
I was reading the words.
Okay.
I'm just short.
It like it just flew out of your mouth. So anyway, I wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the other authors that are in the book and some of the things that people can look for as they go through. Because when we change our thoughts, we change our actions, which is also kind of a secret to getting results. Jean Orsler, who is a business coach and actually is the person who compiled and has compiled the Get the Results series, which Get Results is the third in. She mentions in her chapter about changing the way we look at selling our brand products and our products to others. She talks about tweaking our thinking in regard to how we can help and not how we can sell. So how can we help somebody instead of having that used car salesman focus of, I need to make the money, I need to get the client, I need to deliver whatever it is, to think about what can I do for somebody? How can I help somebody? Being more of service, and let the sales part of that not necessarily go away if you're in sales, obviously, but take a second step back to the process, if you would. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I really like her chapter because she does focus on the service piece. Yeah. And for me, that's what it's all about.
Right.
It's not the next widget, whatever.
Right.
That's the new word, by the way. Gadget and widget put together is now Gidget.
Okay. That's amazing.
On the slide. But it really is, how are you serving somebody? How are you making their lives better? And when you are in that space, you really are helping them. You hear different things from them when you're talking to them.
Right. Agree. Okay, so Paulette Parra-Lorenzi, who is local in Bergen County, she was in corporate America and finance for many years, and she had her family. She decided to open a toy business, and she sold at retail in people's homes and different organizations. And she decided it was time to give back. So she took this toy guru idea and converted her toy business into a not-for-profit. And her goal is to improve the lives of sick children. So she took this retail business and paid it forward in a new and meaningful way. And she has a big gala locally that's going on next month. And it's very meaningful because she took something that was just a retail business, if you would, and was able to branch it out so that she could reach out to others and really make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Cheryl Lenneman, who is an award-winning writer, editor, and author. And she discusses how she went from owning a successful ad agency for decades into reinventing herself. She took what she knew from all her years in advertising and found new ways in a new business to serve clients digitally, which wasn't going on in her old business, and to provide them with some of the services like ghostwriting that have become popular today. So instead of becoming obsolete in some of the things that she was doing in her old business, she became in demand, a process that took time, work, and lots of thought. So I really like that too, because it's taking what you know and reapplying it in a way where you're still the expert and still the guru at what you do, but you're learning because you have to relearn some skills to be able to realize that. So.
Yeah. Very impactful.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my 3 chapters that and authors that I loved. I love all of them. It's really hard to choose. But Gloria Cerulli is the executive director of eWomen Network, which is a really cool online networking platform for women, and is national, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And she got me because I suffer from this, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs do. But she was talking about people not being clear and things that hold them back, in becoming successful. And she says that, it's easy to get distracted by the shiny object syndrome. Mm-hmm. And then she talks about how to kind of overcome that. But from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's very easy to be like, ooh, let's go do this and let's work on that product. And then you have all these things half started and nothing ever gets finished. Mm-hmm. So she clearly lays out 5 steps to move past that and several other things that can really keep you from success. And her state your intention is similar to, we've talked about being clear, mm-hmm. And defining your skinny. And she just says it a different way. So again, that, it's just 2 different point of views that kind of, resonate and say the same thing, but in a different way so that everybody can get something out of it.
Right.
That was a really fun chapter. And then Anne Deatley, she's the CEO of eQuantum Breakthroughs, and she talks about energy and manifestation. And I thought this was really cool. And it's a little out there, mm-hmm. but I love it because it's
powerful. And I've heard her speak, and it's very cool stuff.
Yeah, and she talks about energy and manifesting from the corporate view, which I totally believe in, because I see that with CEOs or presidents. When they change some of their actions, things in the whole business change, which is a really cool result. So she, I think in great depth, talks about that. And it's things too that even though she's talking about from a corporate perspective, you can take any of one of her points and include that in your personal life. Mm-hmm. Agree. So I thought hers was a lot of fun. And then James Davey is a speaker and he leads organizational teams. And one of the points that he had that I really enjoyed was his growth through courage. Mm-hmm. So again, it's not, his chapter is really about not letting fear stop you, mm-hmm. and having the courage to keep going and to keep trying over and over again. I think it's just a point that I want to kind of get out to everybody, mm-hmm. that it's, just keep doing it.
Right.
Over again. One of the motivational videos I listened to is, I think, a basketball player, and I don't remember his name, but he's like, I could fall down 100 times, and 100 times I could not get up. But if I don't keep trying, I'm never going to get up. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a perfect way to kind of end like my love for that.
And I think the message in that is something that rings true for a lot of people. I think the first place we naturally go to for most of us is if something doesn't work out the way we want it, if mm-hmm. something doesn't play out according to our success plan or any plan that we have, we shut down, we give up, we retreat, we go away from it. And sometimes you do need to do that. Sometimes there are times where you have to say, okay, this didn't work. Maybe I need to rework that or go away from it for a while and pause. But you could give up totally. Like, I tried that. It didn't work. And you hear people say that all the time. Oh, I tried that once. It didn't work. You tried it and it was 10 years ago.
Right.
the same person now that you were 10 years ago. And so what you tried then may very well work now, or a variation of it may work, but you're not stepping up to do that or do the work to do it. And so that's a caution I kind of throw out there with all of that too, because I think that people shut themselves off and shut themselves down too readily when something, the fears get in the way. The blocks get in the way. Oh, what if it's not a success? Or what if, this doesn't work out? What if somebody says something about me? What if they don't think I'm perfect? And then we quit. And once we do that, it becomes really difficult to get right back up necessarily in the same way.
Right.
Yeah. So when we look at all this stuff in summarizing all of it, there's a lot in this book. And there's a lot of points of view about getting results, because results, just like success, are different and different at different times also. So what may work as a result for you today may be something completely different, 6 months from now or sometime in 2017. And anything else that you wanted to add, Emmy, before we wrap up?
No, I think that's good. I think we've talked about a lot, and I don't want to overwhelm anybody.
Exactly. So people could get our book. I'll give mine. I don't know if you have your information, but it's Amazon.com, which is actually in the chat. Not on the recording, but in the chat. It's Amazon.com/author/Randy Levin Coaching. Or Emmy's. It's the same book. We have
all the same, except that with Emmy Kirshner.
Or different names on it, but it's the same thing. But I want you to give a shout out as well, so people can find you. Do you know your Amazon?
It's Amazon.com/authors/Emmy Kirshner.
Right.
So Mikirsschner.
Right, exactly.
I have a weird name.
Exactly. No, you don't. So anyway, a couple of places that I'm going to be, and then you can talk about where people can find you. You can always find me on my website at www.randylevincoaching.com. It has all events, all things on there about me, and also a link to the book as well. On 9/19 next week, I'm live. Anyone in Bergen County for Breakthrough and Get Results with Lois Kramer Perez. She's an author in the previous book. We're doing a workshop, a networking event, and a book signing at Serendipity Labs in Ridgewood. On 9/22, The Power of Change, What Drives You, which is local at Waldwick Library. That's my signature talk, and there'll also be a book signing with that. You get the book in there all the time. 9/28, Clean Out Your Closet, Clean Out Your Life at the Y in Ridgewood and the WEN program. And on 10/19, I'm honored to be a featured speaker for 201 Magazine's Women for Women Go For It panel event. And you can always download a free copy of my ebook, 9 Actionable Tips for Mastering Your Road to Reinvention, on my website. And one more thing before I turn you over to Emmy, I am working on something wonderful for next year. It'll be a virtual reinvention summit.
That's exciting.
And it's busting loose the end of January. It'll be a 5-week program with a webinar kickoff. And it's going to be very exciting and all about reinventing for 2017. Emmy, where can we find you?
Well, I'm on all of the usual social media channels. And my website is emmykirshner.com. But social media-wise, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Google+. I have a number of speaking events coming up. I will save everybody the details. Go to my website or go to Facebook. Some of them are live, some of them are virtual, etc. And then I would love to offer anybody who's watching, I have a free checklist on my website called 18 Ways to Get Healthy Now. And it is 18 of the easiest and the fastest ways to make a huge difference and get results in your life as far as really bumping up your health. And they take very little effort.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I read them. They're cool. I love them.
Oh, thank you.
And I also took into account some of the things that you recommended in the book as well. And we're doing them.
Yeah. Some crossover
things. Always important.
Yes.
So that's a wrap. Get Results. It's something for everyone. Anthology series of which we're both authors. And thank you for joining us. Anybody who's anyone who watches this on the replay, thank you for joining us and spending some time with us.
Same.
Bye.
Bye.